So today, actually, the topic, the story that I want to talk about is the making of Rishi Vishwamitra. And this story comes in Balakanda before the Vivah of Ram and Sita. But before I start, we'll start with Vandan to Rishi Valmiki. So, Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakha Vande Valmiki Kokilam Hari Om Jai Siya Ram. So, this episode is from Balkanda, as I was mentioning, and it comes in the very beginning. So, the princes, the four princes, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, they are about 15, 16 years of age. So, Ramji, especially, is 16 years of age at that point. They are done through the Gurukul, and all that is done. One day, then, in the Sabha of Dashrath, in the assembly of Dashrath, Rishi Vishwamitra comes. And Vishwamitra ji is already a very renowned Rishi by that time. So Dashrath ji is very happy and he invites him and says, you know, I'm blessed to have you. So ask for whatever you want and it will be done. Vishwamitra ji says, I don't want to ask you for anything else. I just need to borrow your eldest son Ram for a few days. And Dashrath was not expecting this at all. So he is hesitating now and he's scared. He's like, why do you need my son for? So Vishwamitra ji tells him that I have a sankalpa, I have undertaken a yagna. And for that yagna, I need a kshatriya, a warrior, a king, a prince to protect this yagna. Because in the ashram, in Siddhashram, where this yagna is ongoing, there are two demons, Subahu and Marich. Subahu and Marich are not allowing us to complete our yagna. They keep bringing on some or the other hassle. They throw stones at us. They throw meat into the yagna. They harass the shishyas and the rishis around there. So they need to be taken care of. And you being a Chakravarti Raja, we all are your praja. So it is your responsibility to take care of us. And for that, I request you to send your son, the eldest son Ram, who I think is fit to do this. Dashrath is like, you want to tackle Subahu and Marich? These are very dangerous demons. I also alone cannot tackle them. I cannot fight with them alone. If you suggest, I will come with my army and maybe we can fight one of the demons. But what will my 16-year-old son do? He doesn't even have any experience of living in the forest. Forget fighting with the demons. So please don't take him. And if you want, I will come with you. Now Vishwamitra is upset, but he doesn't show his anger as such. He very sarcastically tells Dashrath that, okay, if that's the case, so be it. I thought you were a man of your words and you told me that you will give me whatever I want. But now if you don't want to give your son, so be it. Who am I to say, you know, what you should do? Because if you don't want to be true to your words, so be it. And he's about to leave. At that time, the Rajguru, the Rajpurohit, Rishi Vasishtha, Maharishi Vasishtha, he intervenes. And he tells Dashrath that, hey Dashrath, hey Raja, what are you doing? Don't think that Vishwamitra is not capable of taking care of these demons himself. He says, Tesham nigrahane swameva shaktaha. Vishwamitra by himself is capable of taking care of these demons. However, he's still asking for your son. Why? Tava putra hitarthaya. For the sake, for the hita of your own son, he's asking to take him. So do not worry. Let the sons go. So Dashrath eventually gives in and he sends Ram and Lakshman along with Vishwamitra. Now, this is the first time, or you know how we say in today's situation, or rather in today's world, we have college education and then we have hands-on experience. So in a way, for Ram and Lakshman, this was a proper hands-on experience that they were going to face in the forest. For first living in the forest, these princes had grown up in the luxury of the palace. So from there, the next few days, they were going to walk through the forest. They were going to live in the open, by the river, in certain ashrams, sleep on the ground. So this was going to be a hands-on experience for them to understand their praja as well. And then, of course, a first-time experience of a proper war, which they were going to face in Siddhashram. But this entire journey that the princes do with Vishwamitra is an interesting one. They take many halts at different places while till they reach Siddhashram. And then during all these halls, there are many discussions that go on. So there are certain days when Vishwamitra ji will impart to them certain Astra Shastra Vidya. Then there are certain days when Ram will have some questions, and Vishwamitra ji will tell him stories related to the questions he had. It is during this entire journey that, Vishwamitra ji tells Sri Ram and Lakshman the story of Samudra Manthan, the Ganga Avtaran, story of Ahalya, story of Vaman Avatar. So a lot of these stories get told during this time. But there are two major incidents that I want to specifically speak about today. One is the lesson in Raj Dharma that Sri Ram gets from Vishwamitra. And the second is the story of the making of Vishwamitra himself. So just to give you the idea of the route, I will share a couple of slides. So this is just to give you an idea of the geography of the entire route of Sri Ram. Yeah. So starting from Ayodhya, this is Ayodhya that you can see to the left top. From Ayodhya, they walk down all the way to where you see Bihar. This is where is actually Siddhashram, where you see Bihar 802155. Around this area. Now, don't quote me on that exact location. That's not what I meant. I meant closer to that area. So somewhere in that area near Madhya Pradesh, Patna, basically near Bihar, is Siddhashram, close around there. And from there, they go to Mithila, where eventually Ram and Sita get married. Now, during this entire route, as I said, many different stories get told. And in fact, there's one thing I do want to mention, is that on the first day, they halt by the river Sarayu. And most of you might have heard that shloka, which is even today recited to wake up Vishnu in Tirupati. So basically, the Venkatesh Suprabhata has this beautiful shloka. The shloka is Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardula Kartavyam Daivahikam. So this shloka actually comes from this part of Balakanda, where Vishwamitra ji actually wakes up Sri Ram on the first day when they're sleeping by the Sarayu. This is how Vishwamitra ji wakes up Sri Ram, calling him Uttishta Narashardula. Kausalya Supraja, you are somebody who is a good son of Kausalya. And see, it's already Bhor time. It's already dawn. Purva Sandhya Pravartate. In the east, the dawn has risen. So Uttishta Narashardula, wake up and do whatever the morning rituals that you want to do. So this is where the shloka of Venkatesh Suprabhatam comes from. So I thought it was an interesting trivia to know. Anyway, so then they go ahead, and then before reaching Siddhashram, there is a place called Tataka Van. Now Tataka is another demoness. She's a woman, she's a female demoness. And Vishwamitra ji tells Sri Ram that this one that you see, this Nirjan one, this completely destroyed one that you see, at once upon a time, there were two thriving Janapadas over here. But because of Tadka, they got completely devastated. And even today, whoever comes to this forest, Tadka kills them, she troubles the Rishi around. So she's not letting any kind of civilization, any kind of people survive in this area. So she needs to die. Now, Tadka is a woman, and Sri Ram is starts hesitating, because how do you kill a woman? The Shastra says Stri is Aghanya. You cannot kill a woman. So now Vishwamitra ji is asking him to kill this lady, even if she's a demoness, so what? And that is when Vishwamitra ji gives the first lesson, a live lesson of Raj Dharma to Sri Ram. And I want to talk about those shlokas, or rather read those shlokas for everybody. So Vishwamitra ji says, Nahi te stri vadha krute gruna karya narottama chatur varna hitarthaya kartavyam rajasunna. He says, don't have grida to do strivad. Okay, don't think you cannot kill a lady. Now, just to be clear here, let's not go back thinking, oh, Vishwamitra ji says it's okay to kill women. No, that's not what he's saying. We have to understand the entire context. He says here, don't do grina to kill Tadka just because she's a woman. You should do whatever is needed for the rakshanartha, for whatever is for the good of your praja. For all the classes of people, for your praja, whatever is good. Chatur varna hitarthaya. Everybody who is your citizen across all caste and classes and whatever, you must do whatever is good for them. And for that, if a stree hatya needs to happen, then don't do grina in that karya. But then he explains this even more. He says, Nushasam anushasam va praja rakshana karana patakam va sadosham va kartavyam rakshata sata. He says, whatever you think of that karya, good or bad, papa or punya, whatever it is, if it is to be done for the rakshana of your praja, you must do it. So don't think of your personal gain. Don't think of your personal punya and papa. What matters for a Raja, prime importance for a Raja, is praja rakshana. Whoever is your citizen, whoever is in your shelter, you have to take care of them. That is the first and the foremost principle and the first and the foremost value that a king has to live by. And hence, you must do it irrespective of what is your personal punya or papa in this. So don't think about your personal gain. Think about praja rakshanartha. Then he says, Rajya bhara niyuktana esha dharma sanatana. For anybody who is given this responsibility, the responsibility of the Rajya, for him, this is dharma sanatana. This is the dharma for that Raja. Adharmyam jahi. Win over adharma, because adharma leads to imbalance in the society. Adharma, dharma is dharyate iti dharma, that which sustains. Dharma is about sustainability. Adharma is about lack of unsustainability, of making it unsustainable, of leading to destruction. So you have to tackle, you have to win over adharma. Hence Kakustha is calling Ram, dharmo hi asyana vidyate. This stree that you see here is a demon. She's a Rakshasi. In her, there is no dharma. And hence, you have to win over adharma, because she represents adharma here. So this is the lesson of Raj Dharma, which Vishwamitra gives Ram. Of course, Ram and Lakshman then kill Tataka, and then they move on to Siddhashra, where eventually Subahu and Marich are also made to run away. One of them dies. And eventually, from there, from Siddhashra, they go to Mithila. So from here, from Bihar, they go all the way to Mithila. So now, when they reach Mithila, at that point, when Janak comes to know that Rishi Vishwamitra has come, he is very elated. He is very happy. And he, along with his Rajpurohit, Rishi Shatananda, they go to welcome Rishi Vishwamitra and whoever has come with them. So they don't know who's accompanying Rishi Vishwamitra. Now this Rishi Shatanand is interesting. He is the eldest son of Rishi Gautam and Ahalya. Ahalya, as a popular perception of Ahalya, which most of us know thanks to the serial as well through Ramcharitmanas, that she had become a stone. And Sri Ramji, when he goes there, he touches the stone with his feet, with his foot, and then the stone turns back into Ahalya. Now in Valmiki Ramayana, the story is not so. In Valmiki Ramayana, it is actually Sri Ram touching the feet of Ahalya. And Vishwamitra ji says, Ahalya, the lady who lives here, she has done tapasya for so many years. She has cleansed herself, and through her tapasya, she has become Deva Rupini. So you touch her feet. So Sri Ram and Lakshman then touch Ahalya's feet. Anyways, this is a different story, maybe about it on some other day. But then they go, so Shatananda is very happy to welcome Vishwamitra ji, and Vishwamitra ji tells him that these two boys you see here are the princes of Ayodhya. So Shatanand ji then tells Ram, he says that, do you know how blessed you are? He says, Nasti dharmataro Rama tvatto anya kashchana. There is nobody who is as dhanya as you. And why are you dhanya? Because Vishwamitra ji has taken you under his wings. Vishwamitra ji is taking care of you. You are under his care, and that is why you are very lucky. And then Shatanand ji goes on to tell the story of the making of Rishi Vishwamitra to Sri Ram. So he says that Rishi Vishwamitra that you see here today, once upon a time, he was also a Raja. He was a king like you. King of the Kusha dynasty, of the Kusha lineage. He was a king and a very brave king. Everybody was very scared of him, very parakrami king. And one day with his army, he was roaming about in the forest, and somehow he reaches the ashram of Rishi Vasishtha. Now, Rishi Vasishtha, as we know, is the Kula Guru of the Ishwakus, of the lineage of Sri Ram. So he says he reaches the ashram of Sri Vasishtha, and Vasishtha is very happy to host a king like Vishwamitra. So he invites Vishwamitra to accept his atithya, and he has a cow named Shabala. Now the Shabala is like Kamadhenu, and Vasishtha instructs Shabala to prepare a huge feast for the king and all his and his entire army. So Shabala prepares a feast for everybody, and Vishwamitra is amazed. He's like, how is it possible that a cow is so powerful and so skilled that she can prepare a feast like this? She is surely a jewel, and a jewel should be with the king. What is she doing in this ashram of the rishi, in this poor ashram? What is her work here? Uska kya prayojan hai yahan pe? She needs to be in my palace. And he tells Vasishtha, so he says, why don't you give me this Shabala of yours, and in return I'll give you whoever you want, whatever you want, whatever jewels, ratna, wealth, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Vasishtha says, no, come what may, I can't give it to you, because she is my subsistence, she is my everything, she is my Jivan, my Ratna, my wealth, everything is Shabala, so I can't give you Shabala. Vishwamitra is angry, the hot-blooded Kshatriya that he is. He's like, how dare a rishi tell no to me? So he calls his army, he assembles his army and asks them to attack the ashram of Rishi Vasishtha. So again, Shabala comes to rescue, and Shabala, the story says that through Shabala's different body parts, many different warriors came into being, and they destroyed the army of Vishwamitra, in which even the sons of Vishwamitra got killed. Now, just to take a pause here from the story, I want to talk about how itihasa, so it was. So itihas talks about history, but in the Indic systems, the way history is narrated, the way it is passed down, is very interesting. It talks about the event, but it also talks about it in a katha yuktam way, in a form of a katha. It could serve multiple purposes. One, to make it more interesting. One, to give multiple layers, subtle layers to it, which, if it's a better katha vachak, more one who has more depth can unravel those subtle layers for us. And thirdly, to give us a lesson from that story. So we don't necessarily have to take it literally, but we have to understand the bhav with which the story is told. So here, basically, then somehow the army of Vishwamitra gets destroyed. The sons of Vishwamitra die, and he's not able to take Shabala with him. He's upset and he's shocked. Vishwamitra is very upset. He's like, how is this even possible? I'm going to teach Vasishtha a lesson. At that point, he leaves. He does more tapasya, comes back with even more powerful weapons, more powerful Divyastra. This time, Vasishtha says, he tells his Shishya that none of you have to worry. I will show Vishwamitra what is Brahma Tej. So with my Brahma Danda itself, so Brahma Danda is this danda which rishis carry. And through his Brahma Tej, the story says, with the Brahma Tej of Vasishtha, it was such a power, it was so powerful that Vishwamitra could do nothing. His celestial weapons were of no use. They didn't help him at all. And again, he was defeated. Now Vishwamitra has to accept that it is not what he's thinking. He definitely has to accept that Rishi Vasishtha is actually very siddha. He has powers. He has this stage which he, even though as a king, does not have. So he says, Dhikkar on me, Dhikkar on my Kshatriya prowess, that I have not achieved that kind of stage. And he wants to achieve that Brahma Teja. So he goes and starts doing tapasya. Now, he does tapasya for many years, achieves some kind of siddhi. And then one day, Brahmaji comes. Brahmaji says, Arey, I'm very happy with you. Good job. From today onwards, you will be known as Raj Rishi. Vishwamitra says, I don't want to become Raj Rishi. I want to become Brahma Rishi. So Brahma says, you are not ready for that yet. You haven't reached that stage of Brahma Rishi. So you be happy with Raj Rishi. Of course, Vishwamitra is not happy. And he starts doing tapasya again. Yeah. And in this, there is an episode of Raja Trishanku. Trishanku is also king of the Ishwaku lineage, who wants to go to the heaven with his body intact. Now that is not possible, but he wants to achieve it. So he tells Vasishji. Vasishji says, no, he tells the Shishyas of Vashishti, none of them agree. So he's angry and he goes to Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra in his mind is thinking that, okay, Vashishta has said, no, I will tackle it. So that competitiveness is still there in his mind. He wants to show that he's more powerful than Vashishta. So he says, okay, I will do it for you. And through his tapasya, he had that much siddhi now that he could do a yagna and send Trishanku to the Swarga with his body intact. Now in Swarga, again, think of it in a Katha Yukta format. Swarga, Indra says this is not possible and he pushes Trishanku out again and Trishanku falls. Now Vishwamitra is even more angry. He's like, you don't know my powers. I'm going to create a whole new Swarga for Trishanku and send him to that Swarga with his body. Now he tries to do that, but at that time, the other devatas intervene and they say, don't do it. It's actually not good. So you please refrain from doing it. But somehow, I think they agree on a thing that Vishwamitra will not create more gods or more deities in that heaven, but he will still create that heaven and send Trishanku there. However, the point is that he had started achieving Rishihood, but he had not yet left his competitiveness. So that was still there in his mind. So he does more tapasya, and then again Brahmaji comes. He says, "You've become a rishi, and you've become a maharishi now." But Vishwamitra is again not happy. He's like, "I don't want to even become maharishi. I want to become Brahmarishi only." Again, Brahmaji says, "Not ready, not ready." Then one day again, while doing tapasya, Menaka comes. Menaka is around that ashram of Vishwamitra, and seeing Menaka, who's a beautiful celestial nymph, beautiful apsara, he becomes overcome with lust. And he tells Menaka, why don't you come stay with me? He forgets about his tapasya, about his goal. You know, the kama moha is there in him. And 10 years they stay together, after which suddenly it strikes him that all the tapasya that he'd done till now has gone waste. And he needs to get back to tapasya. His original goal was the Brahma Tej. So he lets Menaka go and again does tapasya. First time it becomes Rishi. This time Brahmaji comes and says, okay, now you're a Brahma Rishi. You are a Maharishi. Again, after Menaka leaves, Brahmaji comes and says, okay, you've done your tapasya, you've become a Maharishi. Now, after the tapasya that Vishwamitra does, after Menaka has left, then he becomes a Maharishi. But again, he's not happy. He does more tapasya. Now, this time, Indra doesn't want Vishwamitra to become a Brahmarishi. He doesn't want Vishwamitra to achieve that kind of powers. So he sends Rambha, another celestial nymph, another apsara, to break or to distract Vishwamitra. This time, Vishwamitra doesn't come over by, he's not overcome by lust, but he becomes very angry and he curses Rambha. He says, you become a stone, you came to distract me. So, now the calm has gone, but the anger, the krodh has not gone. And he realizes it, that all said and done, my krodh is still there. So still I have not graduated from being the level of Rishi that I am, because the krodh is still intact in me. Then eventually he says, now come what may, I will do a tapasya where I will not eat at all. I will remain a Vayu Bhaksha for X number of years. And he doesn't eat anything. And then he achieves a level of that Sthita Pragnata, or so he thinks. Then Indra comes to test him again. So one day after the sankalpa of not eating anything has ended, and Vishwamitra ji is trying to cook some food to eat. He has only that nivala which he was going to eat after so many days. And Indra comes dressed as a Brahmin and says, okay, I'm very hungry, give me your food. Now Indra is thinking that maybe Vishwamitra ji is going to be very angry again, and again his tapasya will go waste. But Vishwamitra ji is not angry. He's overcome his krodha now. He gives away his food to the Brahman who has come and starts his tapasya again. So now the gods, Brahmaji, start realizing that slowly he's achieving that stage. And many more such tests happen, after which one day Brahmaji comes and says, Vishwamitra, today you have become a Brahmarishi. And you have become a Brahmarishi because you have achieved complete control over all your senses. You have become Jitendriya. You've achieved control over your Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, everything. And hence today you've become a Jitendriya, you've become Brahmarishi, you've achieved that stage today. And now your tapasya has ended. But Vishwamitra says, no, it's not yet ended. Only if Vasishtha believes that I have achieved this kind of stature, if I have achieved this guna, I will agree that I have become a Brahmarishi. So you see the transition, he became a Brahmarishi to show Vasishtha And now he's only seeking his validation that if I have achieved those kind of guna that Vashisht has, and Vashisht approves of that, only then. So he is now also surrendering to that power of Brahmadev, of Vashishtha. And he is not competing with Vashishtha anymore. So the very reason ki dikha dunga main, I will show Vashishtha, has now gone away. It has dissipated with him becoming a Brahma Rishi. And this is how Vishwamitra, a Kshatriya Raja, has become one of the greatest rishis, who's also mantra drashta. The Gayatri mantra that we chant till date is what we get from Rishi Vishwamitra. So this is it. I leave you with this story of Vishwamitra, how he transformed himself through his tapasya to achieve that kind of Brahmatej. And also with this story of Sri Ram, where Vishwamitra ji has played a very significant role in the formative days of Sri Ram's life. So that is it. Jai Sri Ram, and thank you once again for having me. Jai Jai Sri Ram.
Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. Ami ji,